Welcome to Pickleball Nation.
What's up, pickleballers? Welcome back to a new episode of Pickleball Nation, where we're here to give you news, information, and tips about the game of pickleball. I'm Reggie Staggers, and I'm joined in the studio with my wonderful co-host, Sherry Sternberg. How are you doing, Sherry?
I'm doing phenomenal, Reggie.
Phenomenal. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go a little bit off script.
Oh.
Sherry, did you know that this was Women's History Month?
I actually did know it's Women's History Month.
Well, I want to do something about you because I'm so blessed and honored to have you as my co-host that I want the audience out there to know a little bit about you. See, my co-host many years ago was in a serious car accident, and she wasn't expected to walk. In fact, that's what the doctors had told her. But they were liars because...
Or I made liars of them.
She made liars of them because she's been kicking my butt along with many others on the pickleball court. And she helped to raise a family, and she was an awesome school teacher. She has learned the game of pickleball and became an awesome instructor in the game, certified instructor, by the way. And she started her own business, Pickleball Plus. And she is my co-host on this podcast. Oh. So I would just like to honor her.
Oh, thank you, Reggie.
Okay. So what did we do last week? Weren't we pondering something last week about... let me think. Something about how to receive the serve, having the paddle low, leaning forward, striking the ball, and getting to the... Well, you're going to tell us where that ball should go, right?
Right. Today we're going to ponder where should you return that serve when you're doing all the right things about the serve coming to you, then where should you return it to the other side of the court? The return of serve is twofold. One is you need to get to the non-volley zone. So that's one of the most important things with your return of serve. And the second part is you want to put the server, right, that third shot that they're going to make, in a little bit of an uncomfortable position. So you want to think about that as you are making that return of serve. So let's go to the video.
Okay. We'll be back in a second. Welcome to an episode of Pondering Pickleball with your host, Sherry Sternberg.
So today's pondering of our pickleball game is where to hit the return of serve. We talked about standing 2 to 3 feet behind the line. We talked about having your paddle ready low, and we talked about getting to the non-volley zone. Where do you hit that return for the best play for the next ball? So when you return the serve, it's important you have an idea of where you're going to return it to. One of the best returns to do to give you enough time to get to that non-volley zone is to hit it high and deep to the middle. So we're still 3 feet behind the line. We're still getting ready and turning our bodies, shifting our weight forward, and then we want to lift that ball high and deep to the middle of the court in between the two players. So they are maybe a little confused, but the higher, deeper serve, return of serve, is going to give you time to get to the non-volley zone.
Thank you for watching. Hey, Sherry, that was an awesome episode. I learned so much about placing that ball down the middle, getting the two players to be confused as to who should hit it. That was pretty good.
And I think when we played a couple times today, I think I did that to you, and I'm not sure you realized I was using our pondering for today in the game.
Oh, okay. So, Sherry, we have another guest today, don't we?
We absolutely do, and this is a big guy who has a big presence on and off the court.
Oh, wait a minute. I hear music.
I'm hearing it too. I'm hearing it. I think our audience is hearing it.
It's like a Motown vibe, isn't it?
It is a Motown vibe, and our guest has a Motown vibe to him as he swaggers. Let's see how our guest for today, Hayward Corley, as he swaggers in and does this interview with us.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, the Motown King, Hayward Corley. See you in a second.
We good? Yep.
Pickleball Plus is your one-stop shop for all things pickleball. From the latest paddles, bags, clothing, shoes, nets, and the latest pickleball machine, Slinger. Pickleball Plus is your one-stop shop for all things pickleball. Calling all pickleballers, calling all pickleballers. Now the tournament season is upon us, we at Pickleball Nation want to acknowledge your accomplishments. So, if you participated in a tournament and medal, send us your picture and we will display it during our podcast as part of our shout out to Weekend Warriors. So email your picture to apickleballnation@gmail.com. Welcome back, Pickleball Nation. Here in the studio, I'm Reggie Staggers, joined by my wonderful co-host Sherry.
Thanks.
And we have the great, awesome Hayward Corley with us. And we're going to ask him a few questions.
Now, we know he's got some swagger, right? We already saw that.
Yeah.
But let's see what else he's got. So we know he is a great athlete now, but he's a lifelong athlete. Hayward, tell us about your athleticism as you were growing up and your family.
Oh, thank you, Sherry. Thanks for the opportunity. Well, basically in D.C., we started playing kickball, volleyball, jump rope young. And, during those eras there was, you had to do something. You could dance, fight, to be an athlete. My dancing was average. My fighting wasn't good. So I chose being athletic. Started off playing in Boys and Girls Club, played all the sports, all the way up into high school, played a little bit of middle school ball, but just kind of an average. But on a dare with some guys in the neighborhood asked me to go out for football. So at 130-something pounds, playing against 230-pound guys, it wasn't such a good idea. But
Well, when were you 130? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. I was the girth that you see now is not the girth that was there.
Okay.
But realistically, in high school, I was 6'2", 6'3". In the 11th grade, I weighed probably 140. In the 12th grade, 145. But that's what you work with. So I played high school football for 2 years, both years going to the championship, senior year making all Met in football, and then basketball being all in a high. So always loved to play, always liked to engage. It just was fun. That was kind of my thing, to play ball.
What
Yep.
high school was this?
McKinley Tech, Washington, D.C.'s finest high school.
That's where Jane's father attended, isn't it?
Don't know.
Yeah.
So, Hayward, all those sports, which was your favorite one? Why and why?
Football player. I don't know why. I just like football. No, I love football. And I was the best at football. Baseball, average. Basketball, definitely average for a DC cat. Being on the playground with cats like James Brown, growing up with Adrian Dantley, Dave Bing, it was pretty obvious that my basketball game was average, but football I excelled in. It was just something that I really enjoyed and excelled in. So football is my favorite. In college, met a gentleman from Stanford who just won the Rose Bowl, and he talked me into running track. And I ran track for 2 years, had never run in my life. And by my second year, it was All-American track and field. So most sports, if I could at least do well, and sometimes I would excel. So yeah, just enjoyed being an athlete. Used to like practicing, unlike now where I will never practice anymore. But from the time when I was a young guy until I was in my mid-20s, I practiced all the time. So yeah, just enjoy sports, enjoy meeting people and the camaraderie. So yeah, sports has taken me places that I would have never gone in my life.
And you segued right into the next question of tell us about your career, because wasn't it involved with sports?
Yes. Well, I did parks and recreation. So in Arlington County, so I worked DC Rec, I worked Prince George's County Rec, and I retired for Arlington County Parks and Recreation as a recreation area manager. And so initially, as a kind of a rec leader, I was kind of face-to-face. In the end, of course, it was administration. But all along, facilitating, teams, starting boxing programs in Arlington County, track and field, tennis, like every sport, male, female. So it was a good opportunity. I guess it was a give-back moment. because one of the major things that happened to me growing up, back then, people worked. Men worked all day long. It wasn't a lot of dads at home, so a lot of the people in the community would give back and would take us places and facilitate the teams. And so in my career, that's what I did with thousands of young men and women. And not only sports, but just in general, rearing people and trying to show them the correct way of, trying to be good citizens and good people. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. So I did that for close to 40 years, and I've been retired for 17 years.
Oh,
Yep.
wow. You're a family man, right?
I am a family man. Married Audrey Corley from Howard University. Have Jamal Corley, all metropolitan track and field. Went to Hampton and Howard University, a Howard graduate. Jemani Corley, track and field. Both attended Eleanor Roosevelt. And so it was mandatory in my house that you participated. You didn't have to be great, and we weren't leading people into trying to be pros, but we were just trying to give people the opportunity to work out. And of course, you had to keep your GPA and grades and all that. And probably the best athlete I'm the best athlete, so let me
Of course,
let
we
me
all know
let
that.
me not. But the most consistent athlete is Audrey Corley, who has never played on a team in her life, but has works out 4 or 5 times a week, yoga, whatever it is. So right now she's in better shape than all of us.
Wow.
Yes.
And it didn't stop at the next generation. It continued onward to
Khalees Corley, who is currently at Stony Brook University in New York. She played
Khalees being your granddaughter.
Thank you. Yeah, she would be my granddaughter. I have no daughters. But Khalees is my granddaughter. She's all met. She played with A.Z. Fudd, who's one of the top female basketball players up at UConn. Khalees is at Stony Brook. And interestingly, Khalees got sent a pair of shoes from A.Z. Fudd, a new shoe. She's hooked up with Steph Curry and them. So Khalees is currently, in fact, they played tonight. They've won their conference. Okay. And so then they'll go to the playoff, to the tournament. But Khalees has been fortunate enough in high school to win a couple of titles in high school with St. John's, and college. She's been to the NCAAs. Jamal and I also have competed in NCAA. So we have a pretty good legacy. I have a couple of young grandkids, and once their GPAs are proven, then we will see how they are in the athletics. Xander, who's 6, has 3 belts and martial arts. So yeah, it's important. It's important for us that people are physically fit. I think it helps your mental and your total well-being. So we try to keep that up forward with the Corley family.
Great.
So when did you begin to start playing pickleball?
Pickleball. Interesting. So I used to be an less than average tennis player, but I enjoyed playing. And when I was working in Arlington, even before I retired, some of the guys I played with started playing at Thomas Jefferson and the other locations. They were like, come on, man, come on, play some pickleball. Well, I was still working. So when I retired, and my wife Audrey was working up at Upper Marlboro, and I believe Lee Richardson, is Lee's last name Richardson?
Yes.
Lee Richardson was working up there, and I went up there and ran through the nets a couple of times. He was like, oh, this guy's going to be really good. We weren't so sure. So it's been about 10 years, at least 10 years, yes.
You play in tournaments too, right?
Yes, my first partner was CJ. We played in some tournaments. We've gone to the nationals. We've gone to some national level tournaments. First couple of tournaments, national tournaments, didn't do so well, but fortunately, I'm about 500 in the tournaments. But most of all, with pickleball, I enjoy the camaraderie, the socialization, and I'm meeting and talking to people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. And for me, I'm pretty much a people person. So if you listen to me talk, or even if you won't listen to me talk, I'll talk. So it's really a lot of fun, and it's keeping me from being over 250 pounds. So I enjoy it.
So you mentioned CJ. Who are some of your other partners you're playing with?
So CJ was my first partner. Then I played with who is that? Wayne. I can't remember Wayne's last name. And right now I have Duke as a partner. And playing with Duke is fun because Duke is a coach while you're playing. And so, we've matched it pretty well. We've been the last couple of years playing. I've played with Trudy. We've had some fun. I've played with Harlan, and I've played with Jen. So yeah, I've had I enjoy playing doubles, mixed doubles. Singles are out the question at this point in time for me. Maybe years early, but not now.
No, you did play in that ladder one time that I did, that singles.
We did play in the ladders, and you had a good time whipping but I did. You did, and I enjoyed it too. And it was actually fun because a couple of good games of singles will give you a very, very good workout. So
Absolutely.
I forgot about that. Thank you.
So we know very sports oriented in your family, but you also like to travel. So tell us a little bit about the other side of Hayward.
Yes, well, the other side is that Hayward that sings in the men's choir. I'm definitely a Christian, excluding some of my conversational words. I believe in God. I believe that's really important for me. I raised my kids and my family with Christian principles. Mm-hmm. So I sing in the men's choir. I've also been trustee at a church for over 10 years, which was a very different view of the church. That was the business view of the church. So that was exciting. Mm-hmm. Love to travel. Hilton Head is where one of my travel spots where I'm going in a couple of weeks, where I'll play pickleball. Hawaii, France, all of the islands. Went to Europe this past year, and we just booked a cruise to Alaska that we'll be taking. So we're gonna do a lot of traveling, and one of the good parts about the athletics that allows Audrey and I to travel is that both of the young men either got academic or athletic scholarships. So the less money you had to pay for the kids to go to college, the more that we can spend on ourselves. So we do a lot of traveling and looking forward to it. So in 3 weeks, I'll be heading to Hilton Head.
Okay. So what do you think?
Right. Sounds good. It was great to hear all that about our good old friend, Hayward.
Absolutely. So I think that'll do it, won't it?
I think so.
All right. I want to thank Hayward for coming on the podcast. I also like to thank my co-host, Sherry.
You're welcome.
And I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in to this podcast. So we'll see you next time. Take care now.
Thanks for tuning in to Pickleball Nation. This is Joan Morse reminding you that the audio for Pickleball Nation is available wherever you get your podcasts.